Christmas night and every...
Hello my dears, welcome back to my corner of the internet. Today is a Wednesday, which means I've got another book talk video for you guys. Today the book I want to talk about is by a writer that I know I've spoken about before on this channel, and that is Alice Hoffman. And we're talking about her newest release, and that is Faithful. I've been a fan of Alice Hoffman's for many years now. She's a very prolific writer, putting out books once a year, I'm pretty sure, which is just amazing to me that, you know, writers like her and Stephen King as well can put out such well-crafted stories in such a short amount of time. Alice Hoffman has written books such as Practical Magic, The Dove Keepers, A Marriage of Opposites, Here on Earth, The Story Sisters, just tons of different stories. And there have been very few that I could honestly say that I disliked. So one of the themes that tends to run a lot through the books that she writes is there's always, or not always, there's often a touch of the magical in the stories. And that wasn't the case with this one. As I was reading, I kept kind of waiting to see, like, is there going to be something? Because I love that. I love that kind of everyday magic is probably the best way to word it. It's nothing too, you know, over the top or hard to believe. It's just kind of woven throughout the characters' everyday lives. But that's not here in this book, which is totally fine. This book is, it's heavy at times. Let's just get into kind of what it's about. It's about a girl named Shelby. When the book begins, Shelby is 17 years old. She has a best friend named Helen. They're both beautiful, popular kind of girls. Helen more so. And kind of the older they get as teenagers, the more Shelby tends to get frustrated with the way that Helen kind of pushes people around, herself included. And it all kind of comes to a head one night when Helen wants to go to a party that Shelby's really not interested in going to. But she doesn't want to lose Helen as a friend because, you know, that's her closest friend, and Helen's always kind of making it sound as though her friendship's very conditional in some sort of way. So she doesn't want to upset Helen or lose Helen, so she takes her to this party. And the way it's worded in the book, even though Shelby only buckles her seatbelt 3 out of 10 times when they get in the car, and Helen buckles her seatbelt 9 out of 10 times when she gets in the car, that day Shelby buckles hers and Helen does not. And there's an accident. It's a slippery road. It couldn't have been avoided. Shelby lives, and Helen, while she isn't killed, she's made comatose. She's severely brain damaged. Her back is broken. She's basically a vegetable that will spend the rest of her life in a hospital bed in her parents' home. Shelby is just as damaged in the accident, though not physically. And she first has a mental breakdown where she ends up in a mental hospital. And then after that, she gets stuck in this kind of bubble where she's decided that if Helen can't have a normal life, she's not going to either. She's going to keep herself isolated. She shaves her head, rarely leaves her parents' basement. She is punishing herself day in and day out for an accident that could not have been avoided. She has such intense survivor's guilt, despite the fact, you know, that nobody blames her. Helen's parents don't blame her. Nobody blames her because accidents happen. So over time, she makes a friend. His name is Ben. And Ben is someone she went to high school with who had a terrible crush on her when they were young, but Shelby had been a part of the popular crowd then, and she hadn't really noticed Ben. So her and Ben, they start spending all their time together in the evenings. They smoke weed, they eat Chinese food, and they just kind of bum around town. Then eventually, Ben decides he wants to go to college. Shelby doesn't, because Helen can't go to college. So Shelby won't go to college. But Shelby decides to move with him to New York City, where he's going to be going to school. They get an apartment, and Shelby eventually gets a job working at a pet store. And that pet store is kind of where she first starts to get a bit of salvation. She decides that she's going to save something. She needs to save something to make something okay, and so she kind of starts doing that by rescuing abused and mistreated dogs. Now, meanwhile, while all this has been happening, and starting when she was in the mental hospital, she was getting postcards delivered to her mother's house, her parents' house. And on the postcard, and one postcard would come, like, say every 6 months, every 3 months, and it wouldn't come in the mail, it would be hand delivered to the house in the night. And it would say, there'd be kind of cryptic messages on it, like, do something, see something, save something, feel something. And so those postcards are kind of a thread throughout the entire book, and the mystery of who is delivering those postcards, which we do eventually find out, which of course I will not spoil for you here now. But it's Faithful is a story of the ways that we choose to deal with loss and guilt. It's a story about the ways that we get trapped in the past and the ways that we punish ourselves for errors, costly errors, no doubt, but errors nonetheless. You know, a mistake, a misstep, and we get so stuck in it, even if we don't realize how stuck we are in it. And it just becomes so hard to move forward. The book is also about family and the ways that love can save us. And it's a really wonderful book. If you've read Alice Hoffman, you know what a great writer she is. She's truly spectacular. Her prose is beautiful. The ideas that she has are so special, and this one, it did not disappoint, and I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for something to read. And look how gorgeous that cover art is. This came out, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So good. You can get it, you know, on Amazon for fairly cheap. And it's just, it's a great read. And it's a special story. And I think you'll enjoy it. If you've already read it, I would love to hear what you think about it down below. I just want to mention one more time before we go, I mentioned in the last video, if you made it to the end of that one, that I would love to send you guys Christmas cards. So if you would like to receive a Christmas card, send me a message here on YouTube or a private message over on Instagram. And let me know your mailing address, and I'll be sure to get a card out to you. I've already had a whole bunch of you send me messages, which made me so happy. And yeah, I can't wait for that. So that's gonna be it for today, you guys. I hope your week is going good. It's Wednesday already. That's great. We here in northern Canada, we had gotten snow at the beginning of October, and then it all went away, and the temperatures went up again, and it made for crazy allergy season, which is still happening. My nose is always running, my eyes are watering, just terrible. But yesterday it snowed again. I'm very happy about that. We're ready for it. It's time. The middle of November. Go crazy out there, snow. And hopefully it'll stop the allergies from being so brutal. All right, guys. I'll see you on Friday. Take care.